back to yours, your ex-wife was very verbally abusive, and it went one direction and made it very challenging. But let's talk about how your love blueprint growing up and how that was kind of a setup for you to get in this sort of relationship.
It was very similar, I think, to what I just described, where, boys are strong, girls are weak. Boys don't hit, boys don't fight with girls. So it's very unequal that way. Also, it was, again, a thing. Also, it was a thing where it was not polite or nice for boys to really fight back against a girl. And the other thing, too, is I feel like I never really had a chance to express how I was feeling that way, or if someone was treating me poorly. It was just a thing, very stern, very regimented lifestyle. And so, again, boys just don't show emotion. They don't talk about things like that. They just do. And so it was a great pathway to start internalizing a lot of feelings and emotions and things like that, and never really letting them out or talking about them, really. I didn't start talking about how I felt or things that were important to me probably until my late 20s, maybe my early 30s. And even then, I was in this other relationship, this other marriage, where that certainly was not encouraged. Even when we went to counseling and things like that, I felt like it was a very lopsided conversation, because I was really expressing how I was feeling. I'm sure my other partner was expressing how she was feeling, but once we left the counselor's office, it was just kind of, to me, felt like we were going right back to the place where we were before.
So it's just similar patterns. But what you're saying is, when you grew up, and then you have to tell the audience, like, how did your mom and dad, how did they function, and how did that dynamic play in it? Because you mentioned it was like a stern, don't feel your feelings, kind of regimented. Can you give more details on your parents' dynamic?
Yeah, it was, if you go to a TV show and you watch something in the 50s, and so the guys are very
like macho.
They really are.
Yes.
And they are the alphas and the leaders. And so it was a very patriarchal marriage. And dad was the leader, and everybody knew it. And everything dad said was law. And mom was almost in a supporting role. Do the dishes, feed the kids, keep the house neat. And so it was just a very typical relationship like that. And as I go back and look, that's exactly how their parents were.
Yes.
And so, they loved each other. I think I know that.
Yes.
But it was everyone knew their role, and what in that role, what was expected and what was not allowed. And so I took that as I was growing up. I feel like I was softer on the inside, like, okay, there's some things there that I would not want to get into. In my first marriage, though, I found I was exactly back to that type of a marriage, but the roles were reversed. Yeah. So now I was the one that was compliant and not expressive and in the supporting role, where I felt my ex-wife was really the leader of the group.
Isn't that interesting? Because I remember you've told me at times, like, I saw the dynamic of my parents. I didn't want to repeat that for myself, but it was like a familiar pattern. And those love blueprints get repeated without us even really thinking about it.
Yep.